Okay.
That's right, motherfuckers. We're doing a tier list.
All right, so we're doing a tier list. We're doing the best non-blue interaction.
Yeah, that's right. And why are we doing non-blue interaction, Ian?
Why? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's because blue probably has the best interaction in the entire format, so
Yes.
might as well just rank. Instead of having all the like S tiers, just all the fucking counter spells, we'll just,
And it's important for non-blue decks. We're trying to here's a good reason why. We're trying to give viability to those non-blue players who are stuck and frustrated and just want to cave in and use blue. Well, we're here to save you because there are other options. There's a shitload of them. But you might see some really shitty ones today. I tried to pick a variety. I picked basically what we did is we picked all the common ones, and then I went through a lot of the common cEDH decks with and without blue, just to put some other maybe more fringe ones on there, just to see if, just to have more of a variety. And then there's really good ones and then crappy ones that are good for comparison. Even if you don't use them, we can at least explain why. Hey, this is a shitty card. Don't use it. So at the very least, we'll have that going too.
Yep.
Okay, so should we just pick randomly? We'll try and alternate colors. I tried to also balance it and have, an even amount of white, red, green, black. We even put a couple colorless ones that I wish I would have taken off. But let's just start with, let's do Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares. That's a good way to start it.
Okay.
Oh, also, let's just really quick, kind of our mindset behind the S, A, B, C, D. I actually wanted to do A, B, C, D, F, kind of like letter grades. So think of everything shifted. Because if you get an A
we could just
in class, no, it's fine.
We could just fucking move this around, I think. Just move that down. And then just call this F.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Because I just think of it as like a letter grade. So an F would be something that it's like, you're just never going to play this. We can't make an argument for it. It's just not getting played. And on the other end, an A plus is it knocks it out of the park. This is if you are in this color, you're probably playing this. You have to have a reason not to. B is either if there's room for it, if you're not playing blue or something, it's the best you can get, but you might cut it for other S tier things. Like if you're in a non-blue deck, you might not play one of these. If you're in a deck with blue, you might not play this because you have better options because of blue. But if you're not, and you're in a non-blue deck, you're probably going to be playing this. C is like, hey, this is good. This is okay. Maybe deck specific or in certain scenarios. But if you're desperate for interaction, you can use it. D is like barely playable. But F is, just to be clear, you're never fucking playing this. Why did we even put it on the list? To set a goddamn example.
Set a goddamn example. Okay. Are we reading these cards out?
Yeah, we should.
Or are we assuming our audience is intelligent enough to know what they are?
Yeah, I can. You want me to pull it up on a different screen? And I can just, got Path to Exile. No, Path of Exile, PS5. I was looking that up the other night. Matt's like, you should get it. It might be free. All right, so Oracle text. It is mana cost. It is 1 white. It's an instant. And it reads, exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And then let's compare that with Swords to Plowshares, which is very similar. It's also 1 white mana, instant. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. So the biggest difference is what is the slight downside where your enemy gets some sort of benefit. With Swords to Plowshares, they just gain a little bit of life, even a lot of bit of life, maybe, potentially.
Potentially.
Usually not relevant in cEDH because a lot of damage and game finishes are either Thassa's Oracle, or some sort of alternate win condition, or milling everyone out, or some sort of infinite damage, or big swing with finale for infinite. So it usually just doesn't matter, and it's not relevant. And I will also say that as time has gone on, Path to Exile, the basic land isn't even that relevant either. A lot of times you're not even going to end up really ramping them. They just don't have a basic land.
Yeah.
Because the best decks are 4 and 5 color.
A lot of times it just reads as exile target creature.
Yeah.
Which is, is exactly what you want for one. I think same with Swords to Plowshare. The life is, who cares? Who cares if your opponent has up to 7 life, maybe?
Yeah.
Usually it's going to be 3 to 4 life.
There might be some crazy scenario where, they have a massive creature and they gain a bunch of life, but that is so few and far between. It's almost irrelevant. I guess if I had to pick one over the other, what do you run? I usually at least run one of them. If I'm in white, even if I'm in something like Nagila and I'm 5 colors, I have access to everything, I'm usually still running one of these, and it usually is Swords.
It's usually Swords, because the off chance that they do have a non-basic land, you do just help them slightly.
Yeah.
So Swords is slightly better, but I also think it's goddamn should be in any white deck. So I think instant A tier.
Yep. And then Path to Exile, just as a point of comparison, I'd say let's put in B.
Yeah.
Because it's so close. But I mean, we could also put it in A, but I think just to set it apart, there's a reason we both immediately throw Swords to Plowshares in, and Path to Exile is kind of on the back burner, as a potential second option.
It's not bad at all. It's a perfect viable choice, but it's not as good as Swords. It's outclassed.
Agreed. All right. So let's go on to a black one. Or you know what? Another one, actually, that one that you put in the top row, 5 from the...
This one?
Yeah. That's a good one of comparison. That is... Oh, God, what is it called?
Unwanted Remake. So, for 1 white, it's an instant that you can destroy target creature. Its controller manifests dread. I don't know why you put this in the list. Well, you put this in the sideboard, which meant...
Because it's relative. It's new. I put it on the side as like a potential option. I wanted to mention it because it is worth talking about. It's new. It's from Duskmourn, which is from the last 2 or 3 sets. And it is a 1 white mana instant, and it's a good point of comparison, but it's destroy instead of exile, which isn't bad in other colors, but white has the exile effect. So why would you use this? And then the Manifesting Dread, where they look at the top 2 cards, put one onto the battlefield face down. It's basically just manifesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other in their graveyard. Okay, they look at the top 2, one on the Did they... Oh, and they look at it. So they could pick a creature and then flip it. Yeah, they could end up getting something better or...
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go on a whim. I'm not going to say it's straight trash, but it's probably just a D.
Agreed. If you're mono white, I might run this.
If you're mono white...
Or if I'm white green and I need more creature removal, it's not terrible.
I'm just going to move on to the next white spell because, for comparison, Soul Partition, we'll just put it right here. Right here in the C tier.
All right, hold on. Soul Partition. This is one I don't really run that often.
That's because it's not as good.
Is it a creature one?
Exile. So it's for 1 generic and a white. It's an instant where you can exile target non-land permanent. So you can target multiple things rather than just creatures. And for as long as the card remains exiled, its owner may pay it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast.
But it is a non-land permanent, so the versatility is up. But a lot of times, would you use this on a Rhystic Study?
I would use this on a Rhystic Study all day. Are you kidding me? I'd even pay for the Rhystic to do this on a Rhystic.
Yeah, no, I know. That's fun. Yeah. And then they would have to, but they can cast it for 2 more, so they have to be paid 5 for a Rhystic Study.
That's why I'm putting it in C tier, because
Yeah, I'd say C tier. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like
it's versatile, but it's not as good. It doesn't remove it completely.
it's really good for a temporary, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm trying to get around Draneth or something, or I'm trying to go off, on my turn. Let me cast this on the end step, exile their Rhystic Study, and then I can go off. And then if for some reason I don't win, at least they didn't draw a bunch of cards, and it comes back, and we're back where we were. So yeah, no, I like that.
Let's move on to another color, I guess.
Yeah, let's do some black ones.
Okay. Oh, what about Withering Boon?
All right, this is a interesting one.
I actually do run this in my Yawgmoth deck, which is high powered, but
I think, yeah,
I only run it.
I do. So here's the thing. There's what other options are there in black? If you're in mono black, it counters a creature spell for 2 mana. So 1 generic, 1 black, instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, pay 3 life, counter target creature spell. Counters Thassa's Oracle.
Counters Thassa's Oracle.
It used to counter a Dockside until that was banned. It counters a Tivit. It counters Najeela. I mean, it's not terrible.
No, it's not.
Now, if the second you're in a color that has better options, like the second you're in white, where you have all these creature removal options, it becomes irrelevant. The second you're, I don't know, maybe if you're in a red-black deck, I might still consider running this, because red only has, the blasts, which are blue based, and then you've got Tybalt's Trickery. So I don't know, maybe if you're in a heavy turbo meta with a lot of Thassa's Oracles, at least you have an option. The one argument against this I could see for, like, let's say a mono black deck, because I'm thinking like, yeah, all in for a mono black deck, but a lot of times they don't need as much interaction because they're trying to go as fast as possible. And this might just slow them down at the off chance that you stop at Thassa's Oracle. It's like they're trying to beat those decks, not stop them with interaction. So I don't know. C, maybe.
C? I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Maybe D.
Maybe D. I don't even.
It's not a limb. You're right. It's D.
Honestly, it's F. You wouldn't run this at cEDH.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Let me see. Does cEDH deck list database does Crick even run it?
No, I don't think it does, because he has way better options to deal with things.
It's not in this list.
I don't think you run this like in high powered for sure, because it's hilarious when the mono black deck whips out a fucking counterspell. But besides that, I don't think you run it.
Nah, I think you're right.
Like
I'm trying to find a goddamn Crick list that uses this. I like how we're called the cEDH sermon, and I've said goddamn like 10 times already. Yeah, none of the lists on the cEDH deck list database. I could still see it being a cool tech card.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I ran it and I stopped Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, not one of them. Okay. Yep. I'll go fuck myself.
Yeah, but you could also run Trickbind, and nobody runs Trickbind.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You want to do another?
Let's do another black one.
You pick this time.
Yeah, we'll do a couple of each card. I'll talk about Damn.
Ooh, Damn. That's a good one. All right. So Damn,
because it is implied that you have to be in white too. You have to at least have black and white.
Okay, I'll read this one. I fucking love this card. So Damn is a sorcery for 2 black. Destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. Or you can overload it for 2 and 2 white. Which essentially is destroy all creatures. So either target removal or board wipe for 4. Which is honestly pretty good. I think...
yeah. It's not instant speed
Not
for
instant
the
speed.
even for the removal part, which is a little bit of a downside, but the versatility of still having a targeted removal, because a lot of times in cEDH you don't see very many board wipes. You have Toxic Deluge, Cyclonic Rift, and that's pretty much it, with the exception of a couple fringe things.
Yeah.
But being able to wipe the board in a desperate situation or destroy a specific, stacks piece or a creature that's causing problems, I think is really good. I mean,
I think the versatility of it, just being able to, like you said, being able to get rid of a troublesome fucking piece on the board, or you're not liking the fucking board state at all, just get rid of it. Like, I think it's great. I don't run this in Tivit as much as I want to, but I think it belongs in.
I think that should be, if you needed another board wipe.
If I needed another,
I would throw it
wipe,
in.
Yeah. Well, if I needed another board wipe, I'd probably run Languish.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Just because it breaks parity with.
Yeah, that's a little more specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, no, I don't think it's quite A. I think the instant speed holds it down. It is 2 black.
Yeah.
And 2 white pips. And you need to be in white and black. But I think it's B.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Easy B tier.
Not D tier, but let me do that. Okay. We're gonna stick with black this time.
Do we want to do Toxic Deluge as a point of comparison? I like doing the comparison cards because it just helps to talk about them back to back. So I'll read this one. It is 2 generic and a black. Sorcery speed. As an additional cost to cast the spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. Yeah, I mean, this is the premier black board wipe.
Yeah.
Or just board, like this and Cyclonic Rift. I'm tempted to say S tier just because of the versatility of, if you're in, I'm guessing you run it in Tivit. I'm pretty sure you do.
Oh, yeah, I run it in Tivit because I can just be like, all right, I'm going to pay 5 life. Everything's dead but my Tivit.
Yeah. And not many things are bigger than that.
Yeah.
Or if you have a stacks piece that's, let's say even you're not in a Tivit deck, but you have a couple things that are out that have 3 and 4 toughness, and there's a Dranith. Well, that's a 1/3, right? But let's say you're like, okay, it's worth it. Pay 3 life. You get to keep your 4 toughness creature, and a bunch of other things die. The versatility behind it is great. Even if you are on the opposite end and you want to destroy everything, including a Tivit, you just pay 6 life. Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
Oh, yeah, I think we are on the same page here. I think it's A tier.
Yeah. All the way at the top, it's A. An A+.
A+.
And yeah, now I want to say S tier and shit because I get it, but I just like the letter grades because it's like I just think back to school. I'm like, if you get an A, you knocked it out of the park.
You knew what.
It's easier to reference. And an F is you fail.
F? What the fuck
you
are you
fail.
Doing? A? You nailed it.
Exactly.
Do we have another board wipe?
I think that's good for.
I don't think there's another
board
wipe. So let's move on to
to red.
And
actually, let's do the first one on the list because that one.
Oh yeah, I was looking at this one earlier.
Interesting to me. I think it's also extremely new. Yeah, it's also in Duskmourn. So I'll read this, or do you want to read it? I think you should read it and let me know what you think.
Okay. Untimely Malfunction is an instant for 1 and a red. Choose 1, destroy target artifact. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single target, or 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. I love it. I was originally like, why did you put this on here and not a Braid? Because I think a Braid is a great card.
Oh, why didn't I put a Braid?
It doesn't matter.
Damn it.
But
a Braid should totally be on here.
Well, I'm not going to go searching for an Abrade.
Okay, we'll do it last.
Okay.
We'll remember to do it last.
So anyways, Uh, but yeah, the change target of target spell, I think
It's a counterspell.
it's a counterspell. I think it's a uh, fantastic ability that red has, and like any card that runs this is a very good card. Especially if it has the versatility of destroying an artifact or just getting in some free damage.
Yeah, exactly. In stuff like Najila, or I could see, let's say there's one pesky flyer. Well, I guess you can't run this in Tivit, but like I'm thinking of another deck where you need to get a flyer in, and there's a flying blocker, or you're trying to do something like Magda. I could see this being a Magda card.
Yeah.
You're trying to swing and tap your dwarves, and there's a couple things that you don't want to block your dwarves because they'll kill them. Those creatures can't block, and it's a counter spell. It's basically a target counter spell essentially, because you just change the target to itself. There's not very many available in red, and then having the off chance of destroying an artifact. It doesn't get rid of the One Ring, unfortunately, but there's still a lot of versatility with it. I think I said this in a previous episode. I'm a versatility whore.
Yes, you are.
So I automatically like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not tested enough. I don't think it's not A.
It's not
but
A. It might be
at the
B.
very least it's C, might be B.
I'm gonna comfortably say. Ooh, actually, I don't know. I can't comfortably say. Damn it. Yeah, I would agree though. Somewhere between
I think
A
C
and C. Or B and C.
I think C is a good slot for now, because I think I don't remember my exact caveats, but B is kind of like, hey, if you need more of the same thing, it's just not quite as good as the best. Like Dam isn't as good as Toxic Deluge, but if you want a second board wipe, you probably will run it,
Mm-hmm.
Same with Path to Exile. I think there's a lot of other options that you're doing first, but if you're in something like Magda, or you're in a combat like Naya deck where you want to get some swings in, maybe like a Winota. I know it's not really, Winota is doing pretty bad in the current meta, but
comment, and subscribe if you play Winota.
Yeah, I love Winota. I did play it a couple times. I built it and played it, and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. But yeah, everyone targets you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think C is good. I think C, but I do like it a lot though. Has the potential to move up.
I think C is good because let's talk about where is it? You've got to have it somewhere, right? Oh yeah, it's right here. Let's talk about Deflecting Swat. The other, I think, best version of this card. Or at least one of the best versions.
So you can go ahead and put it in A tier while I read it. Okay. Because there's not really much of a debate there, in my opinion. It's 2 generic and 1 red instant speed. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. So yeah, it's probably going to be free. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. It's a counter spell. It's a gotcha. Your Swords to Plowshares exiles your own thing instead of mine.
Mm-hmm.
You can fizzle stuff. I mean, it is just so much better than... Yeah, it's so good. It's so much better than the paying the 2 mana. At the off chance that you have to pay 3, that sucks, but this is great for decks where you're going to have your commander out. Or again, if you're in non-blue decks and you don't have very many options, this is right at the top.
Yeah.
I think this is an easy A.
Now, yeah, there's really not much to talk about here. Like, this card's fucking gas.
I know.
A card that I would think... So, a card that, like, sometimes outclasses Deflecting Swat, but I'm going to put it in B tier, is Flare of Duplication. And I'm going to...
Oh, okay. Let's...
fucking Flare of Duplication is a instant for 1 and 2 red You may sacrifice a non-token red creature rather than pay its spell's mana cost, and then you can copy target instant or sorcery spell. Choose a new target for the copy. I like this because you can steal other people's ad nauseums off of them, whereas deflecting SWAT can't steal that from them. You're not technically stealing it, but you're copying it and activating it first.
Oh yeah, so you could because you could copy it. You could essentially copy a counter spell to counter it, or copy the ad nauseum on top of theirs, and then you have a full grip of interaction. So even when theirs goes off, you might be able to stop theirs.
Yeah,
before they even get to cast it,
and then you can win right there.
Yeah, and if you're in a deck with Rograck or another really cheap, if you're in,
I'm gonna put it in B.
Even just, like a, yeah, no, I think B just because it
requires a lot for
yeah, it requires a little bit more. It's not a lot, but it's more.
I don't think every red deck wants to run it. I'd assume actually maybe every red deck wants to run it. But
unless you're something that's let me see, does Najeela run it? Because I would think it's like, well, I don't want to sacrifice my Najeela, but a lot of them do that turbo shit. So it's like you just sacrifice your Najeela to this.
You sacrifice your Ragavan.
Copy someone's ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Or your Ragavan. Yeah, I don't see that in Najeela lists, which is weird.
I think if you're running Rograk, this is an auto include. If you're running Magda, this is an auto include. Because especially in Magda. Let's move to
all right. So we do a
green.
Let's do some green, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll pick the last one. You go ahead. What do you want?
Let's do a double whammy because this is a good one to do. Let's do Veil of Summer and Autumn's Veil.
Ooh, good call. Okay. So,
because this is, I will read Veil of Summer, and then we'll read, and I can even read the other one right after. But it is, both of them are one green instance. Veil of Summer reads, draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black until end of turn. Autumn's Veil, very similar, one green instant. Spells you control can't be countered by blue or black spell this turn, and creatures you control can't be the targets of blue or black spells this turn. So, it used to be a lot better, even Veil of Summer. It used to be to the point where even decks with blue, people were running it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? I used to see Najeela lists and Kinnan and a bunch of things. I was never that high on it, but I get it. That being said, Veil of Summer is, I'd still put it, it's like B, but it just doesn't get ran. Which makes me want to say, well, it's C then. I don't know. It's really good.
Okay,
I'd say B. Maybe B tier. And then Autumn's Veil is like D. It sucks because it's basically if you're desperate for... D is for desperate. We'll put it that way.
D is for desperate.
That is actually
like
perfect. That is a perfect...
Because if you're desperate for more interaction, here you go.
Here's your shit bottom of the barrel that you can use. D is for desperate. F is for fail. The fact that Veil of Summer does everything better. It's like you and your permanents gain hexproof, not just from blue or black. Whereas Autumn's Veil just says you can't be countered specifically by blue or black spells, which I don't get why the black is even like, okay, I guess you can't be Withering Boomed. And then the can't be targets of blue or black spells this turn. So a lot of the most common removal, but still it doesn't stop against Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that. I mean, neither does Veil of Summer because you just get hexproof from blue and black, but still the drawing the card, it's at least a cantrip and your spells can't be countered.
Yeah. Which
regardless, you can even say, I'm going to cast Veil of Summer No responses. Okay, cool. I'm gonna let that resolve, and I'm gonna cast Ad Nauseam. Fuck you. I mean, so it's almost like a pseudo silence in a way.
It's almost like a silence and a counterspell and a cantrip in itself. I mean,
yeah,
you're making me want to put it in A tier, honestly, but
it's just not. It's B. It's B.
Yeah, it's B.
A tier is stuff that you play even if you don't have access to, or even if you do have blue, you still play.
Yeah.
And all three of the top and ones in A, I would play in a blue deck. The ones in B, probably I would rather just have another counterspell other than Veil of Summer. Or if I'm in white, a silence. But it's making me higher on it than I was. I was coming into this being like, no one fucking plays this anymore. And I did look at the Najeela list. It's in there. It's probably in like a lot of Golgari decks. Maybe even Jund. I'm pretty sure I have it in Korvold.
I'm sure Gitrog Monster. The few Gitrog pilots that are out there, I'm sure they run this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Is... Just for like another example. Yeah, it's in Rocco. So just as a Naya example. Yeah, it's B. Easy B.
Okay. Next up.
Yeah, A is for always. I think that's a good. A is for always. D is for desperate. F is for fail. C is average, basically, but
all right, let's talk about Avoid Fate next.
Yeah.
This is an instant for 1 green. Target or counter target instant or aura spell that targets a permanent you control. Ian, why did you put this hot garbage in this fucking list?
So, this is a card that absolutely no one runs at all.
Where is it? It's right here.
But it's a good example. I did actually at one point have it in a very early iteration of Korvold because people kept fucking targeting it. This was pre-deflecting SWAT, before all that shit, because it was like, dude, you needed everything you could get to prevent people from targeting you. It's basically
it's
protect your creature, but there's so many better options. Throw it in the F and let's move on.
I mean,
throw it in the goddamn F.
For one, you could just run fucking Veil of Summer.
Veil of Summer. I know, but this is before all that. This is before all that.
Okay.
Like I said, I had it in a very early iteration. Right here,
just saying, don't run counter spells unless they're blue. Or, I mean, we might as well just talk about them right now. Or you know what? Let's stick with green, and then when we go to the red spells, we'll talk about them.
All right, let's do one more green. You know what we should... I kind of wanted to talk about all of the flares at once, and same with all of the MDFCs. So because we talked about a flare recently, let's talk about the other... Actually, there is no flare in green. So did I keep the other flares for the white? And let's move on to white, and let's do the... So the flare of the duplication was the red one. Let's talk about the white one, and I think I put the black one in there, which is not very good, but I wanted to talk about them since they're newer.
Flare of Fortitude is the white one, and the black one is...
Flare of Malice, I think.
Flare of Malice, yeah.
Okay, so let's do Flare of Fortitude. It's kind of like a Angel's Grace, but it's shittier. So it's 2 colorless and 2 white for an instant. You may sacrifice a non-token white creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Until end of turn, your life total can't change, and permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. I wouldn't even say it's like it's.
If you're really,
it's kind of.
If you really want to run Angel's Grace twice in your deck, I guess you want to run this.
Now, I don't think Angel's Grace is your Your the permanents gain hexproof and indestructible though.
That's true. It does give you that.
But here's the only thing: it doesn't get around a what do you call it? A toxic deluge, and it doesn't get around cyclonic rift.
No.
Your life total can't change. So if someone is swinging out, there are instances where this could save you, but I want to put it D for desperate.
Yeah.
Because if you're desperate,
I'd say D for desperate.
it's not hot garbage.
It's not complete trash.
It's not total trash.
Where is it?
It's almost trash, though. It's very close to being trash.
Yep, D for desperate. And then Flare of Malice.
This one kind of sucks, but I wanted to talk about it.
Instant for 2 colorless and 2 black. Same text as the other flares. You can sacrifice a black creature instead of paying its mana cost. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Ian, why? Why would anyone run this?
Because I don't think it's good. It's not like I put it on here because like, hey, this is a great card. It's like I wanted to compare the flares because they're new.
I mean,
we got to have, because if you don't have any F tiers, then
yeah, no, I get it.
What are we doing?
I'm asking you, why would you run this?
Yeah, no, it's
like,
you know what? I'm gonna run it, and then I'm gonna keep killing your fucking Tivit with it. Like, oh, that's your biggest thing.
Yeah, that would work.
I'm just gonna fucking recur it back to my hand somehow and just cast it again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, throw it.
But like, you can't target anything. Like,
yeah, no.
You have to really want to get rid of their biggest thing to use this. But then you're also just
and you might lose your biggest thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Oh, no, it says each opponent sacrifices.
It's each opponent,
so
but you have
better.
to. It's 1 creature for 3 creatures, right? Or 3 planeswalkers.
Yeah, no, it's. I know. There's no saving it. It's an F.
Yeah, I don't run this. Run. Have to exile.
Anything else.
Run, damn. Like, run. Run the fucking Duskmourn removal spell. Don't run Flare of Malice.
Run Avoid Fate before you run this.
Yes. Okay. Next up on the chopping block.
Your Cursor's over a good one.
Cursor's over Lightning
Bolt.
Bolt. That one. Lightning Bolt.
It's a great one.
We all know what Lightning Bolt does. It's a red instant for 1 red, and you deal 3 damage to any target.
So versatile.
That's honestly, for what it does, it's a
Oh!
Oh!
I'm just gonna do a screenshot of that. Lightning Bolt is C tier, and then just put a picture of you. That would look like a mugshot, huh? Like where they make and put it in black and white, so it makes you look extra creepy and.
Actually,
Trevor thinks Lightning Bolt is C tier. It's so good that
would you want it in A or B? Because like it's good, but there are better options for it if you're in the colors for it.
Yeah, I just like it so much because you've got the versatility. People recur it infinitely with loops of like they'll do Eternal Witness loops and infinitely recur it, and
yeah,
its removal. It can also kill someone if they're low after an ad nauseum. I know that's weird, but it removes almost every stacks creature.
Almost every, yeah. And there's a lot of you'd be surprised.
It's really good
about the amount of creatures that have 3 toughness or lower. Like it's a significant amount of the meta. So this being able to remove any of those is really good.
Maybe it's not A. Maybe it's B.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's B because I don't see it's not always.
Yeah, there's better options.
B is like for second best.
Like Swords to Plowshare is your go-to. But Lightning Bolt's like, you can run Lightning Bolt.
Now, if you're in a mono red deck, 100%, But we're talking just in a general sense.
Well, Well, if you're in a mono red deck, you run all of these red cards.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We can move on. That's an easy one.
That's easy.
All right. Want to talk about another F tier one? Go to Null Elemental Blast.
Null Elemental Blast. Okay, wait. I told you to put this one on the list, Ian.
Yeah. What the fuck is your problem? We need to have comparisons. So we've got a mana cost of, it has to be colorless. So it has to be a waste or colorless. I don't know. Yeah. But it's an instant. Choose one. Counter target multicolored spell or destroy target multicolored permanent. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a colorless deck or whatever, maybe. I mean, but otherwise, why? I've only seen like.
Hear me out, Ian. Colorless mana is actually a lot easier to fucking get than you think. Like, you got Soul Ring, you got all the talismans, you got.
Yeah.
You know,
you're right.
You can produce. I mean,
a lot of the utility lands tap for colorless.
Plenty of lands that also do that. Yeah. And what's multicolored creatures? Pretty much all of your opponent's commanders. So you want to get rid of them, counter him, you got it. You got a simple answer to that problem.
Yeah.
Now, outside of that, you don't really have many options because usually people...
It just doesn't get rid of a lot of the best things. Like, it doesn't get rid of... It doesn't counter Thassa's Oracle. It doesn't get rid of Underworld Breach.
Nope.
Or Ristic Study or...
Nope. Doesn't get rid of Dranith.
Really good... Yeah, no.
Honestly, we could throw it in an F tier. I mean... I try to make an argument for it, but I think with
your argument, neither would I, but it's like a D, maybe.
Why? It's just like, don't run this.
I don't know.
Run anything else.
Okay, yeah.
You want it in D?
No.
Yeah, really. That's what I thought.
I'm not confident enough.
Okay, let's move to the only other...
Dude, we have to move along, dude. We're like 50 minutes in, and we've got the majority of the cards left. So let's try and move.
We're having a good time. If we have to,
we are. We can cut it. We can cut it if we need to. Good point.
All right. Warping Veil is our next one.
Let's get that out of the way, and you could put that right next to its little buddy, Null Elemental Blast.
Okay, so
because this one is like you can't even make a fucking argument for. The only reason I put this is I was like, isn't there another one that like counters a spell or something? And I looked at it, I'm like, whatever, and I was moving really quick, and then I read it. It is one colorless and one generic, so it's one more mana. It's even worse. Choose one. Exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. Okay, very specific. Counter target sorcery spell or create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token. It has sacrifice this creature, add colorless. So what you could do is you could cast this, create the Scion, and then sacrifice it to cast the Null Elemental Blast.
And then you got some down 1 mana. Think about it.
And 2 cards. No, I know that I'm just being stupid. Yeah, it's fucking horrible. It's so bad. There's never a world where you'd want to play this. Dude, you know what I
love that it has...
Go ahead.
I love how it has counter target sorcery spell. Like, out of all things, it's just sorcery. Like, come on. I can't even get it rid of an instant.
Most cEDH decks run like 5 sorcery spells, so you're like you can counter 20% of every person's deck. No, and usually no one ever counters them. There's nothing that's that bad where it's like we have to counter this. So yeah, terrible. It's probably the worst thing we've seen today.
Okay,
maybe Flare of Manas. Well, actually, I don't know. There's some really bad ones in there. But I did think of something I've always wanted to do, and we could either do a tier list, or we don't even have to do a tier list. We could just do we'll go through and we can maybe section it off by letters. We'll do the reserve list. Because you know how there's some like really good stuff on the reserve list, like Transmute Artifact, and then there's like just garbage stuff from Fallen Empires and shit where it's like, what? Why would this even be printed on a card? So that one would be hilarious. We could even do tier list, or we could just pull it up and rank it out of 10.
All right.
Maybe we do that. That'll be one of the future episodes.
Moving on, we're going to talk about an actually good counterspell, which is Red Elemental Blast. So for 1 red, you can counter a blue spell or destroy a blue permanent. Simple, fucking beautiful.
Now there is an important distinction. No, you're right. It does say counter target blue spell, destroy target blue permanent. And then let's talk about also Pyroblast, which is counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue.
Yep.
Now, what is the main? It's because it can't be deflecting swatted. It's harder to redirect. Is the main thing.
Pyroblast, you can redirect it to a non-blue spell, and it will just fizzle out because it won't do anything, because you can still target something that's not blue. However, Red Elemental Blast has to be blue, so you can't deflecting swat it to something else.
Yes.
So Red Elemental Blast.
But with that being said, but there could be instances where you actually are trying to, and now this is super rare, because that scenario is super rare. But then there's the opposite, where sometimes you're trying to build up a storm count, or if you're playing like Birgi and you want to get more spells, you can play Pyroblast and not actually have a valid target and still use it. That being said, that's also super rare. So I'd say they're basically both on the same level.
I would agree. I think they're for
B tier easily.
I would put them in A tier because I would still run them. I would still run them in a blue-red deck.
Now, yes, but only if you're... I just hate having dead cards, and if there's other options, I'd rather just run other...
Here, this is what I...
counter spells, but... Yeah. I think you're right. It's kind of the same story with Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah.
We could even... Here's a good way of... All right. Oh, wait. Just for visual continuity.
There we go. Yeah, pretty much like...
And I like how this is... and even options with these two as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So those are actually good counter spells that are not blue, as opposed to all of this trash.
Yeah. Those are... Oh, my God. Just awful.
Now, Ian, off the record, do you want to take a break and then finish this?
Yeah, let's do the MDFCs right now, and then we can take a break.
Okay. Sounds good. So we'll go to the first one.
Actually, a little bit more. There is another one. I guess that's the land portion. Is right here.
Whatever, we can do the green one. We haven't done too many green cards.
All right. This is Bridge Works Battle. Let me...
I got it right here. So it's a sorcery.
Okay, go ahead.
For 2 colorless and green. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And its other side is a green land. Which...
that enters untapped if you pay 3 life.
Yep. I mean...
Now, it's not amazing.
It's not.
I mean, it's not a good card. If it was just the front side, it would never see play. It's not a good card in that sense. It's also not good in black decks because it's not worth running that for potentially getting hit for 3 on an ad nause. But in something like Kinnan, where you're going to have bigger creatures, I think it's pretty good because it's for low colored decks. If you're in mono green, if you're still trying to make Selvala or Yisan viable, 100% this is an auto include. If you're in something like Kinnan where it's low colors, but you're going to have some bigger creatures or even not that many big creatures, it gets +2/+2 and fights something. Your Dranith could kill another Dranith if you think about it.
True.
I mean, I know it's a weird scenario, but it's like even small creatures have versatility with this, and it's a land. It's just a land on the other side. So it's taking up a land slot. You can take out one of your basics or another utility land that's not that useful, and you get a removal spell. So
now, Ian,
I don't think it's great. What was that?
Well, where do you think you would put this on the list?
It's hovering around the D and C.
I was going to say C.
I'd say C because it's in specific scenarios. I think it's really good. It's kind of like, why the hell wouldn't you run it in something like Kinnan? I play it in my list. There's almost no reason not to because it's just a forest on the other side and the life doesn't matter. So yeah, I think it's easily, and you can put its counterpart next to it too. Yeah.
The life points don't matter, like the points in Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so Shatter Skull Smashing. I'll read this one. This is 2 red and an X. So however much you want to pay into X. Sorcery. Shatter Skull Smashing deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, Shatter Skull Smashing deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. And then, of course, it's on the other side. It is a red land that you pay 3 life to have it untapped. I like it. It's just it's basically, honestly, it's another C tier thing. I like that you can divide it and you can do a bigger blowout. Now you can't divide. Yeah, you can only do it up to 2 target creatures, but a lot of times, let's just say there's a couple small little stacks creatures. There's an Orcish Bowmasters and a Dranith. Yeah, you pay 6 into this, but it's a land on the other side and you blow up both their stacks pieces. I mean, I don't know. It's not amazing. Or an opposition agent and a Orcish Bowmasters. 5 mana, blow them both up. And if you didn't need it, then you have a mountain on the other side. I think the same argument of Bridgeworks applies.
Honestly, it does pretty much the exact same thing as Bridgeworks. So if we gave Bridgeworks C, I would say this is also a C tier.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't run it in a red deck, but, it's on the same level.
Yeah, exactly. And on the off chance that you need it. Okay.
And then, is it one more?
Yeah, I think there was one more.
Oh, the black one.
Oh, yeah, this one's pretty bad. But worth talking about as a point of comparison. I'm just going to keep using that as my excuse for putting them on here. This is Fel the Profane.
Okay.
So it's
Fel
2...
the Profane.
Oh, you want to read it?
Yes, because I want to make the point. It's 2 colorless and 2 black for destroy target creature or planeswalker. So it's essentially Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
But worse.
Why? Oh, is Hero's Downfall?
Because Hero's Downfall is less. It's 3 mana. And this is a 4-drop.
That's right. I don't know. What about like Crick? You pay 4 life for it.
We don't even have fucking Force of Despair on here, and I think you'd run Force of Despair before you run this.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Do the Colorless run this? Let me look these up. Because I looked them up for the other, or like the Withering Boon. I'm like, come on, someone's got to run it. It's more like, why don't they? Yeah, I see it's in this list. Fell to Profane, first Black Hole Sun. All right, and let's see this.
All right.
Let's see. Let's just fucking see. They do not run it. So we're 1 for 2. There's third crick list. Come on, you piece of shit. You better fucking run this. No, it's not on there. So we're 1 for 3. There's one more. Come on.
Okay.
Come on, you fucker. Come on. Come on, you better run it. You better run it. No, they don't run it.
All right.
I'm putting 1 for 4. Yeah. It's also good in something like Yuriko. Again, it's a similar situation as Kinnan. It's a low amount of colors, so it doesn't matter that you're running. You're probably going to run maybe a couple basics. You replace a swamp. You put this in there, and you hit 4. You could even just use it as a land in Yuriko, but hit 4 off of flips. So just to up your average CMC for bigger hits. So yeah. No, I think that's a good stopping point. Now I think we still have quite a bit left, though. Should we just take care of this little force right here?
The Force of
Vig?
Yeah.
A little Force of Vig?
Ian, tell the audience what Force of Vigor does.
Now, Force of Vigor. I'm going to look it up just in case because I don't want to read it wrong. I'm pretty sure. But it is 2 colorless and 2 green for an instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Basically, it's free most of the time. And up to 2, so it doesn't have to be 2. That's really good.
Is it exile?
Destroy Heuristic Study.
Or destroy?
No, it's destroy.
Oh.
It's destroy. It's still really good. You can screw someone over mana-wise. If a lot of times players and the bigger decks, they'll have a dual land or 2 and like an Arcane Signet, and they're like relying on that Arcane Signet for their other colors. So you're like, yeah, I'm going to blow up your Arcane Signet and your Heuristic Study. And let's go. Yeah. And you can do it on the end step too, and then go right off. So blow up stacks pieces on the end step. Yeah. Destroy someone's Heuristic and someone else's Underworld Breach when they're trying to go off. I mean, a lot of versatility. It's free.
It's a good card. I think if you're running green, is it B? Is it?
Yeah. I think it's B tier. Specifically because as soon as you have black, the viability goes down because you don't want to hit 4 off an ad nause. And there's a lot of other options in other colors. So
yeah, it's also outclassed, I think, by Nature's Claim.
Really? Now, I would say in Kinnan, I actually run Force of Vigor, and I replaced my Nature's Claim with it.
Okay. It's just
I do
Nature's
think it's
Claim
close.
It's close. I'll just read it right now.
Nature's Claim. Just throw that up into B, right next to it. Yeah. I think they're on the same. Yeah. I think they're even.
So yeah, Nature's Claim's a 1 green instant for destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. And we've already determined gaining life is like 2 gives a fuck.
Yeah.
So
who cares?
Right there. Okay. So you want to end it there and then finish this for next week? Or what?
Do we end it there and then we just restart and keep going right now, or do we take a break? Because I'm down with either.
Well, do you want to keep this as one episode? Is what I want asking.
I say we can split it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a break right now. We'll do the outro later, but I really have to fucking pee.
Oh, then yeah, let's say peace to everyone. And you pee. No, this is being left in the episode. You peeing is the outro. This is for sure going in.